look in the mirror, man, you're so dirty. Yeah, you look so dirty. You were never worthy. Lately, it's you.
Welcome to the Jeremy Hill Show. If you're easily triggered, leave now because this is not the show for you. In today's episode, I will be having Sister Shahrazad Ali giving you her points of view as to why today's modern woman, the black women in particular, are so corrupted, why they are behaving the way that they are behaving. And this has been going on for many decades. She has been an advocate for black men for a long period of time. Also, she wrote a book in 1986, I believe, that was covering this situation. And I have her on her last final interview. She has went into retirement after this interview. And I will also provide facts, data, and statistical data to back up everything that this lady is saying. And I think this is very good. First, let me say this is not a racist program whatsoever. This woman is going to be talking about situations and things that occur in the black community and talk about the relationship problems that we are having among our women in our ethnic group. So, excuse me. So let's go ahead and put this lady on the screen. And I can't wait to hear what she got to say. I think you're going to love what she said. Let's get started.
The black man and the black woman in America have a problem. They do not get along. Before the black man can devise a solution, he must know the components of the problem. The first factor is that the black woman is out of control. She does not submit to guidance by her God-given mate, the black man. Her intention to overpower and subdue the black man is motivated by several factors, the most prevalent being her self-inflicted, nearly psychotic insecurity. Her disrespect for the black man is a direct cause of the destruction of the black family. And when I read that first page, I knew that this was about to be a ride. Right. Now, from 1989 here to today, sister, do you feel like that message at the top of the book and this entire, the problems that you saw back in 89, is it the same issue we're having as a community and as a family, or has it evolved?
Well, I think like you said, you were 3 years old or so when the book came out, but you inherited the same problem because things have exacerbated. They're in worse condition now because we have the interference of the media, the Facebook and the Instagrams and all of that, and the cell phone. All of those things have created more problems in our relationships than anything else that we could do.
Now, and see, that's the thing is, you know, the conversation of this gender war, I thought it was a new conversation because I hear people talking about the gender war all the time now. You know, black men and black women are fighting, blah, 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 blah. And I thought a lot of it had to do with social media, like you said, and what we see on a day-to-day basis. But has there always been a gender war and a rift, even going back to the 80s, between black men and black women?
I think it came to a head about there being an issue between us in the 60s when the white woman came up with the women's liberation movement. And unfortunately, as black men and black women in this country, even our children, whatever white people problems are, we try to do our own version of that problem. We don't set our own agenda as a rule. We follow behind them. And so when they came up with that, the white woman was not in a sisterhood with us, and she was angry with the white man. And so all of her women's liberation was to get more power or get away from his power. Whereas we didn't have that issue with you because we haven't been under your control of power since prior to slavery. Now you're talking almost 600 years ago. So we haven't been in that kind of situation. And we were taught, this is important, I think, we were taught to demand things from you to prove your manhood that the white power structure systematically kept you from getting. And so that puts you in a position of not being able to win over us if the basis was going to be if you could provide for us and our children. And so contemporary ideas came in about it. Welfare came in, which allowed you, as black men, to walk away from your responsibility because the white man's welfare system and his food stamps and all of those things, that became our support system. We was married to the government. They were taking care of us, so they became our man figure. We did what he said to do. We qualified so we could get the benefits, and it allowed you for a long time to not have to deal with your responsibilities of taking care of your children.
Now let's get into that, because I believe that too. That was a part in my personal belief. That is a part of systemic racism back in the days. They were using it as weapons to get the men out the house. Now let me give you some data. I don't just want to talk about how I think or how I feel. I will return to this lady in just a second, but let me put this on your screen right quick. Hold on 1 second. All the proof of what I'm saying. Welfare. Make sure it's there. Okay, let's read together. Now it says, welfare may have played a role. The role that it's talking about is the role in the destruction of the nuclear black family. Okay, let's get going. It is important to realize that things weren't always so. The Black American family provides a stark example. From 1890 to 1950, black women had a higher marriage rate than white women. And in 1950, just 9% of black children lived without their father. By 1960, the black marriage rate had declined but remained close to the white marriage rate. In other words, despite open racism and widespread poverty, strong black families used to be the norm. The norm. It was a normal thing back then for a black child or children to be raised with both mother and father. Let us continue. But by the mid-1980s, black fatherlessness skyrocketed. Today, only 44% of black children have a father in the home. In unison, the rate of black out of wedlock birth went from 24.5% in 1964 to 70.7% by 1994, roughly where it stands today. And I got that from the Institute of Family Studies. Let's read this together. All right, it says here, in the words of Harvard's Paul Peterson, some programs actively discourage marriage because welfare assistance went to the mothers so long as no male was boarding in the household. Marriage to an unemployed male, even one earning the minimum wage, placed at risk mother's economic well-being. Infamous man in the house rules meant that welfare workers would randomly appear in homes to check and see if the mother was accurately reporting her family status. The benefits available were extremely generous. According to Peterson, it was estimated that in 1975, a household head would have had to earn $20,000 a year to have more resources than what could be obtained by Great Society programs such as the welfare and all that, Social Security and all that stuff. Okay? Now, in today's dollars, that's over $90,000 per year in earnings that y'all can get. Now, that may be a reason why in 1964, only 7% of American children were born out of wedlock, okay, compared to 40% today. As Jason Riley has noted, the government paid mothers to keep fathers out of the home and paid them well. It's all by design, brothers and sisters. It's all by design. Now let me go ahead and get back to excuse me for my neck problem. You know, my neck be hurting stuff. Let me get back to the sister, right, Sister Ali, and let her finish what she's talking about. But it's all by design. But we can't have that as an excuse. We got to come out there. We can't blame the white man. We can't blame this and blame that. We got to point the fingers at ourselves. We got to look in the mirror and say, look, I am in control of my destiny. I am the architect of my future. Let me get off my black ass and go to work and do what I need to do to be successful. Okay? You can be anything you want to be damn near now in America. So we can't use that as a reason to not be successful no more. You get what I'm saying? Now let me go ahead and put her on the screen. 1 second. We'll get back into this. The lady's gonna give you some wisdom.
That was optional. But then by the time the 80s came, 20 years later, the white people had changed their ideas about the requirement because of the financial situation the government was in. So they wanted to punish you further by now demanding that you take care of your children, that you pay them back for any money that they took care of your children with, and that now you owe them.
Now, what she means is this: Section 8, EBT, SNAP benefits, food stamps, all these different types of government-assisted programs. What she's saying is now the way that they are punishing the black man, quote unquote, is not that they're requiring you to pay the child support. Now, let's not be ignorant. Whenever you make any kind of payment, and you should take care of your children. Let me say that first. I want you to take care of your children. Financially, mentally, emotionally, whatever. You should, as a man, as a weak man, a terrible man, a piss poor example of a man who doesn't take care of his children or his family, okay? Now, back to what I was saying. Whenever you make any type of payment in child support, you know the government is taking a percentage of that. Now, what she's saying is the percentage that is being taken from the payments that you are making is going back to the government because you're paying them back for systematically destroying the nuclear black family by having programs in place that will require women to kick men out the household and also give them an incentive not to have a man in the household. It makes them not want to have a father in the household for their children. It makes them not want to get married, okay? I've known women who only have children just for the check because they know the government is going to take care of them. I'm talking about 4 or 5 different kids. So that's what she's making reference to. Now let me go ahead and continue on.
By now demanding that you take care of your children, that you pay them back for any money that they took care of your children with, and that now you owe them. And that gave them some power over you because then they passed laws where they could put you in jail if you did not pay your child support or pay them back for Medicaid, welfare, food stamps, Section 8, whatever it was. And they have fixed it now, whereas even if you die, they can come in and seize your assets in order to pay themselves back. Now, they're not dealing at all with the fact that it's not us that owe them. They owe us. They owe you. But because of their refusal to pay us, like they paid other people, the Indians, the Asians, the Jews, they paid everybody in America but us.
Now let's get to that part. That is true. Now, there, even Germany paid the victims or the descendants of the Holocaust a certain amount of money for how they was treated, how they was dehumanized. They got money. Over here, I'm going to put some facts, data, and statistics on that. We're going to come back to that. But over here, President Roosevelt, excuse me real quick, y'all. President Roosevelt signed an executive order, I believe, I think it's called 9066, when the Japanese Empire attacked Pearl Harbor, okay? What he did was issue or delegated that executive order to the Secretary of War. And what that was, the Secretary of War in America was able to say, this part of America and this part of America would be designated as military zones. So what they was doing, they took Japanese American people who was in America, who was living here for decades. They took them and put them in their own versions of concentration camps. Later on, Ronald Reagan came along and he signed something into effect to where the descendants and the people who suffered through that underneath the rule of Roosevelt, they got over $20,000 tax-free money. They did, okay? Also, Roosevelt is the one who created welfare, if I'm correct. Or it was Lyndon B. Johnson or Roosevelt did something else. I can't remember right now. Don't quote me on that part, but the rest you can. Now, let me put that on here so you can see that I'm not lying or making stuff up. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to find it for you. Let's read this together. This is the proof of that. When the Japanese people got their money, the Japanese Americans, it was called the Civil Liberties Act of 1988. And what it did was gave surviving Japanese American reparations and a formal apology by President Reagan for their incarceration during World War II. But its passage did not happen overnight. They even got a formal apology from the president of that time, Ronald Reagan. Black people have not gotten one apology. All we got is a bunch of pushback. We got a whole bunch of, we didn't put you in chains. It was our ancestors. We ain't got nothing to do with that and stuff. Now, the people that got the money, these Japanese Americans, they didn't have all that problem. They have all that pushback. They just paid them their money. How come black people ain't got anything? I mean, again, I believe black people should make their own way, but at the same time, I do believe that something is due to black people. I really do. It doesn't matter if you say, oh, they get the money, they gonna be a fool with it. It don't matter, man. They owed something. Now, let's keep going. Despite the protest, the agreement was signed in September 1952, and West Germany paid Israel a sum of 3 billion marks, around 714 million US dollars, according to 1953 through 1955 conversion rates. Over the next 14 years, 450 million marks were paid to the World Jewish Congress. That was the people who was underneath the rule of Germany when there was the Holocaust, and they got their reparations back. They got their money, okay? Now, let's go here. The Office of Redress Administration, ORA, was established in 1988 and was charged with administrating a 10-year program to provide a tax-free restitution payment of $20,000 to eligible individuals of Japanese ancestry for the fundamental injustices of the evacuation, relocation, and internment during World War II. So I done gave you all the proof. Everybody done got paid. Everyone got their money. Okay? So what the sister is talking about is factual. It's truth. Okay? And she's way older than me. She was born before I was. So she experienced some things that I didn't experience. Certain things that my daddy have told me about how black people was treated back in those days. Okay? So it's a good point. And she's telling you the breakdown. How come black women are not treating black men right? Now, I talked about something the other day about cognitive distortion, where women create scenarios and make up worlds in their own minds and stuff. They don't see reality for reality. They see us as the enemy when it's not us. They are the problem. Anyway, let me get back to this sister and let her finish telling you what I just said, basically. Hold on one second. Hope y'all having a good time out there.
The Asians, the Jews, they paid everybody in America but us, because they think that by giving us the welfare, the food stamps, the unemployment, even all of those things, that's reparations enough for us. All of this is designed to keep you down. This is designed to repress you. There's not a child on the earth who rejects their father because he don't give them money. There's not a child on the earth, in America especially, where children don't want to be with their father because the mother is fighting with him.
Right.
A man's ability to see his children or interact with them is based on his relationship with that mother. And
that is right. Like I said before, women want to say, how come he don't want to fight for his children? Why he don't want to fight for his family? The question is, why is he having to fight for them at all? You women are making it where they have to fight to see their children. They have to go through the course just to see the child that they put in you. You are not the giver of life. You are the carriers of life. Let's get that out the way. You keep saying, oh, we are the creators of life. You're not the creators of life. And if you want to go spiritual with this, the only one who can create anything is God himself. You have the ability to do things, but only because God gave it to you. Now, if you want to operate outside of religious belief and go into the secular mindset, you are still not the creators of life, because it takes the man's sperm, which is also known as the man's seed, to be planted in your womb in order for a child to come forth. All you do is carry life. The child develops in you, and you are responsible for making sure that child get the right nutrition that it needs and everything it needs while it's growing inside of you. Some of you women are so ratchet, so wicked, so evil that you keep drinking when you're pregnant. You keep smoking cigarettes when you're pregnant. You smoking your marijuana when you're pregnant. You're sniffing your lines when you're pregnant. You're popping pills when you're pregnant. You're going to the club, twerking and stuff all over the floor, looking like a fool while you're pregnant. No honors at all. Don't have no honor about yourself. You dress ratchet when you're pregnant. You got your damn coochie print poking out. You can see through whatever you got on your breast and stuff like that with your big old 9-month belly hanging out. No self-respect whatsoever. You're not a mother. Mothers don't carry themselves that way. Okay? Again, you are not the creators of life. You are not the bringers of life. You are the carriers of life. The men are the actual givers of life because we are the ones who plant the seed. An apple tree, when a seed comes from the apple and it hits the ground is just resting there, ain't doing nothing until the seed is planted in that ground. Then you have an apple tree. Okay? It works in tandem with each other. Let's keep going.
A man's ability to see his children or interact with them is based on his relationship with that mother. And most of the men, after you all have children and break up, don't get along with the mother. And then the mother leaves and she go have other men, other boyfriends, whatever she want to do. Claims the child is just hers, her own. White people say, we pregnant. We having a baby. Black women, we say, I'm pregnant and that's my baby.
Exactly. Black women like to claim the child. When they say it's my baby, I'm pregnant, that means this man who put this child in me don't even exist. Y'all, this is how you get these son husbands. You get so overprotective. You get what I'm saying? You just become so domineering because you're a boss bee, a boss diva, a baddie, that you try to run everything. Only thing you're running is yourself crazy. That's the only thing you're running. Okay? Y'all need to wake up, man. And stop treating black men like they ain't worth the time. You need your black man in your corner. I am not against interracial relationships. If a black man find a white lady, I'm all for that. If a black man find a Japanese lady, I'm all for that. I'm all for interracial relationships. But for the ones who want black men, for the ones who want to be, most black men want to marry within their own racial demographic. Mean most time black men want to marry black women. It's only a small percentage of men that actually marry outside their race. You see that a lot because you're looking at entertainers. Entertainers do that a lot, but for the most part, most neighborhoods, it's mostly black men who are choosing to marry black women, okay? For those who want to be married black on black, so to speak, women, you have to submit. You have to be feminine. You have to get back in your role. You are out of pocket. You're way out of pocket. This is like this lady said in the beginning, you are the reason why the nuclear family is destroyed. You make it too difficult to be your husband. You make it too difficult to be a father to the children. You make it too difficult to be a leader. So a lot of this shenanigans, this stuff we're going through, is on your shoulders. Let's keep going.
Her own. White people say, we pregnant. We having a baby. Black women, we say, I'm pregnant and that's my baby. My son, my daughter. As if you didn't put it in us, or if we would have never had a job. And so, it's so layered, it's so much. But as I said, we crippled you. We say this because it's going to come back up. We crippled you because we didn't tell you who the enemy was. We thought immigration would take care of that as a problem. And especially after we started going to school with little black girls, little white boys, the little white boys and little black girls. Especially after we started interacting, our children did in school, it made our children think that they were equal.
So, sister, I'm thinking a lot of people would probably be surprised by quite a bit of the information that you're sharing, especially, I would say, people,
Exactly. And you know which ones he's talking about. I got respect and love for all people of all race. I love the black man, white man, Asian man, Indian man. I have no issue with none of nobody. But I have a problem with everybody who have a problem with me. I don't care what you look like. Well, anyway, I hope we learned something. I hope this made you think a little bit. Anyway, live stream this Sunday, 5:30 Central Standard Time. 5:30 Central Standard Time. I'll let your boy. Until then, I'll see you later. You can take it easy now. You hear?